to another edition of In the Crease podcast with head coach John Galloway, presented by Baptist Health. Coach, exciting week ahead. There's a lot going on. There's a buzz on campus with CBS Sports coming to town. Well, let's quickly recap the wildfire that was the Crown Lacrosse Classic up in South Carolina, and that matchup with Robert Morris. 31 combined goals, losing a heartbreaker. But talk us through that game, because it was wild to watch from here.
Yeah, for a fan, what a great game to go see. Up and down pace, a lot of fun ways to score goals, not your typical in the box type of game, and we expected that. Robert Morris, we equated them a lot to the Georgia Tech of lacrosse that does a lot of unique things, and while I thought we prepared well for it, I also think that sometimes when you play a team that's well coached and has a certain style, they make the game fun, and I think it was a great game. And we went up 4-1, and they went up, and then we came back in the third, and there was a time where we were up 3 going into the fourth, and even in the last play, and we showed it to the team when it was 15-15, and we have a goal to go ahead, and we have a shot right on the doorstep, and it just hits off their goal and bounces all the way back and ends up being a goal for them. Sports is so unique in that doesn't define if you're a good team or a bad team, whether or not that shot went in. But we do have to use this as a lesson. And there were a number of plays in the fourth quarter that we know we're going to have to make in a championship game to win. But thank God this happened on April 3rd and not May 3rd. And I think we walked away from the film session yesterday really encouraged with some of the pieces of the puzzle, and also aware that if we made one of those 5 opportunities, it could have been a different result. And we just can't allow the emotion of a loss dictate how we respond this week.
Yeah, I think the lacrosse community took notice of the effort, got our vote back in the polls with a loss, which you don't see all the time. But they recognized that there's a good team down here, and that was a hell of a game. So, we had Jason Yoquino again, 17 saves. Continues to just be a rock back there. Can't do it all himself, as you mentioned in your quote for the story after the game, but he continues to seems to find that next gear and continue to impress us. What's his journey been like?
Really special kid. A guy that came into the season as a backup. I think he was a solidified guy in that position, supporting Adam, and never really, always wanted more, but never was a distraction to the team. And when you have a guy like that who is uber talented, but also knows his role and plays his role, I think it was even more exciting for him to be able to come out of a shell like he has. There's some things he still has to work on, and there's some things we knew part of his game that he can improve upon over the next 2 years. But when you have a guy like that in the back of the net, and you have Nathan Kapp taking draws, part of it, I think plays into why we have so many turnovers, is our guys know we're going to get stops and we're going to get the ball back. And when you're really good in the middle of the field, you're a tough out in May. And I think having Jason continue to develop, having Nathan continue to perform the way he has up top, it's going to give us a chance to be in those 1-goal games in May. And again, we just have to make those 1 or 2 plays to be able to finish it off.
We've talked a lot about Jack, and finally got his recognition for the Tewarton. I crush that pronunciation every time, John. I'm gonna get it someday. The watch list for the men's lacrosse version of the Heisman Trophy, essentially, to put it in layman's terms. Speak to that recognition a little bit.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. That is the greatest honor in our sport. And even just to be recognized on that list, I think just points out to everybody that Jack Dolan across the country is seen as a player at the elite level. And I think for Jack's confidence, I was so excited to be able to tell him, because I think there's a lot that Jack does that goes unseen in the lacrosse world. And for him to be recognized now, I think you're going to see a level of confidence in him over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it was interesting against Robert Morris. We don't see our typical Jack numbers, but it raised the level of everybody else.
Correct.
We saw a lot of guys jump up and get their numbers. Matt Evan jumped in and got some big numbers for us. Really spread it around again on Saturday, which is starting to become a hallmark of this offense. You're seeing it from all different angles. You don't quite know who it's going to be. We don't have that guy, aside from Jack, who's going out there and getting 7, 8 points. It's kind of spread around. Is that something you aim for? Do you like that diversity in the offense?
Yeah, I think it's partly how we play, especially in transition, and the opportunities that some of our D middies get and our polls. And while we score from a variety of different ways, Dixon Smith had a shot on the doorstep, and Jordan Young had a shot on the doorstep. There's guys that are even closer to scoring as well. And that allows, I think, everybody to trust their teammates. And we don't, past years we've relied on Evan to score 5 for us to win. And now we can win games when Evan only has 2 or Jack only has a few assists. And it's a credit to the depth of our midfield. I think that, Manny Brown scored his first goal of his college career, and that was coming, over the last few games. And maybe not being able to get it fall, but him finally finding the back of the net. And Ibrahim Pio, who's really developed on our second midfield line, who we think could be a contributor soon on. So the depth has just given us a lot of confidence as a team. And again, when Cap's giving you as many draws as he is, and Jason's making stops, those guys get more opportunities and more experience. And that midfield line's a lot of freshmen. Curtis Goddard, Ibrahim Pio, Manny Brown's a true redshirt freshman. Those guys are playing a lot of minutes, and it's going to pay dividends in May.
Yeah, you just took the words right out of my mouth. We were going to talk about the young guys that have sort of emerged here, and those 3 guys were the ones on my list. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's good to see them coming through and getting the experience now and having that feeling now and really establishing themselves as we drive towards that conference tournament.
Correct.
The next one, always a big one, Air Force coming to town. This one's going to be nationally televised on CBS Sports Network. Tape delay, not perfect. It'll be on, the game will be played at noon. It'll air later that night on CBS Sports Network, but we will carry it live on 1010XL, the local radio station here in Jacksonville, and it's available nationwide on 1010XLlivestream.com. So we'll make sure that all that info's out there for you. But with all those distractions involved, get us down to the nitty-gritty in the game, which is what this means for this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, our third military academy that we've played this year, a school that has pretty consistently been at the top of our conference. They're big and strong. I think like any military school, they're impressive athletically. They're impressive in terms of their discipline. We'll have our work cut out for us, but I think that, again, last week's loss is a momentum builder for us in a lot of ways, and how we played and some of the things we were able to see on film. And we get to be back at the Rock. We get to be back in our facility, and there's something about playing lacrosse on Saturday afternoons at your home place in April, and this is why you came here, to win games like this. And it's our next step in our opportunity to climb the mountain in the conference, and a chance for us to go 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, 3-0 in the league's no joke. Like, that's a huge boost and can really sort of solidify a weekend in Richmond in a couple of weeks here. What needs to go well for the Dolphins for the result to go our way on Saturday?
Yeah, we need to practice really well on Thursday. We practice really hard on Monday and Tuesday, and we don't win games on Saturday without a great week of practice. And Monday and Tuesday we answered that. We got them up at 6 a.m. and we went onto the field and we answered some of the challenges that we had from this past Saturday. But for us to beat Air Force, we have to come out on Thursday afternoon with a little bit of a dog mentality. And I think that our guys have bought into that this week. We've really challenged them into this time of year. You're going to be sore. You're going to be physically fatigued. You have school going on. You have the heat now starting to play a factor. It's sometimes just the tougher mentally team that can find a way to make that last play in the fourth quarter. And if we can learn from that, it's going to be an exciting chance for us on Saturday. Again, against a really well-coached team, a disciplined team that will be chomping at the bit to get their win in conference as well. So it'll be a big SoCon matchup.
Yep. Of course, the doors are open. It's not as it's been in years past. There isn't an admission attached to this, so that's a change from years past, which is exciting. We want to get the people in here. We've had great crowds so far here at the Rock. Just speak to that support so far. I mean, it's been the environment here has been electric.
Yeah, it's funny because you don't have a lot of home games, so you're worried about what that looks like. But you're right, the support locally from the community. I think there's a lot of groups that will be out again this Saturday. I mean, I think people are also just realizing that there's a high-level brand of lacrosse being played here, both individually. If you're a kid that wants to play attack and you get to come out and watch a guy like Jack Dolan or Jacob Griner, or if you're a defenseman or a goalie that wants to come out and watch Jason, I mean, there are now players on our roster that local kids can aspire to watch. And that's really cool. That's a special part of this, and it's part of our job is to grow the game in North Florida. And when you have guys performing the way they are, acting the way they are, you'd like to think that, a local kid from Episcopal or Ponte Vedra or Mandarin is going to come out now and watch those guys and maybe motivate that next generation. And as the only Division I program in the state, it really is our job to make that happen. I hope that we can continue to build off that momentum from the local support.
Real quick, as we wrap things up here, a little alumni spotlight. Ryan Bevel joining the PLL home with you. Want to comment on that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, people always will joke that I played a part of that, and honestly, I didn't. Ryan played for the Rattlers after I left, and really made a name for himself. Got an assistant captain opportunity on that team, and that coaching staff came over to the PLL, and Ryan earned that roster spot, and I was able to just affirm what they already knew. But really excited to have him. He adds depth to that unit, and there's only 8 professional lacrosse teams this summer. Only 19 guys make a roster. So when you're talking about less than 200 lacrosse players in the world, and Ryan Bevel's going to be one of them, credit to the JU program and credit to what Ryan has done to create his brand and to be able to put himself in that position.
It's an exciting time.
It is.
Exciting time for JU lacrosse in general. Coach, any parting words as you wrap up this one?
No, again, I mean, anytime you get into mid-April now, there's so much value to each game, regardless of who your opponent is. Whether as a team you're building towards that Southern Conference tournament, or obviously in an in-conference game, putting yourself in a position to earn a seed in that 4-team tournament. Everything means a little bit more. When we got off the bus from Charlotte, we reminded the guys that we only have 4 weeks from that day. We have 4 weeks left that are guaranteed. And every time we go into the practice field, our goal is to earn another day together. And I have felt a sense of urgency over the last 2 days that maybe you didn't get in March, because the calendar did turn and it's becoming real, and it's going to be another chance for us on Saturday.
Exciting time again. Noon start on Saturday for the Jacksonville Lacrosse Classic against Air Force. It'll air later that night on CBS Sports Network at 5:30. We're looking forward to it. Exciting time, and we'll talk to you next week, Coach.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Matt.